Well, good morning and welcome to BBRC Britain and English and the eve of the King's Coronation here in England. Well, many of you will no doubt know the sad sudden death of Her late Majesty the Queen last September when Charles succeeded as the monarch of the country here, Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Well, it was a very moving moment last year when we saw the funeral of Her late Majesty. Well, after the solemn mourning period, things were moving on and turned to look to the new monarch in Prince Charles, King Charles. So Prince Charles became King Charles the day that the Queen died. This is what normally happens. Well, Charles had been Prince of Wales for 60 years. And he was said to have the longest training period in history. He was heir to the throne when he was 4 years old. His mother had a really long reign, probably the longest we're ever going to likely see, 70 years. Although I think there was a French monarch who did reign for about, 74 years or something like that. So not quite the longest in the world, but a very, very good amount of years there, and certainly duty and service was the main elements of the Queen's reign. I'd like to tell you a few facts here. I will say, if you're looking for any facts, details, information, do look online. BBC Radio, the World Service, any of you abroad, and I know any of you from various countries, territories and Ireland will want to keep up with proceedings, most likely. Do try and tune to your radio, and I hope that those who don't have internet will be able to pick it up in other ways. It's in all the newspapers as well here. I mean, I've got the Times here, and there's a big spread about it, and every day there's been different stories and what's happening, the events going on in London. It's all going on tomorrow, 11 o'clock at Westminster Abbey. Now, I've got a few facts and figures here. Well, as I say, Prince Charles, now, 74? He's just not long turned 74. So you can imagine milestone to become king. And certainly he's got a big role ahead of him. He has moved away from politics. He's very much interested in the community, social issues and the environment. But he's not promoting any of those. Obviously, as king, it's a different role altogether. He said that himself. And there's going to be a lot of subtle changes. They're looking forward to the future of the monarchy. And who's actually working and who's serving and who isn't, and what should happen, and slimming down. And well, there's a lot of things happening. Some of it's not very popular, well, we'll have to see. But hopefully things will be positive, and we look forward to the future of the country as well, because all these changes can be a bit disconcerting, can be a bit stressful at times, all these changes all the time, as we seem to keep seeing. Whereas it was very different in 1953. People were very much more stoical, more reverent to the king, and politicians as well of the day. And things are changing in the world. But anyway, I will go through a few bits of information, and no doubt you overseas visitors, just like the certainly the royalist English people and those in the Commonwealth, are certainly very interested. So if those of you who are in other countries, I hope you'll be interested in this. Obviously, refer to back to other videos about the Queen. There's been other broadcasts about the Queen and Prince Philip, and during the time when they died as well. So do look back if you're that interested in looking back. And obviously, there's a plethora of information online. Well, we should be aware of the occasion being very important to the future of the nation. Charles becoming king is his investiture. Well, those of you from overseas who really like to see what's happening with Britain and the royal family are interested in keeping an eye on what's happening. I expect there'll be a lot of American events. There's also, by the way, a lot of people in London. They've been camped out for a few days now, and on the Mall, although they're not opening the main route for people to go down and queue up and stand and watch or spectate around Whitehall and the Mall until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And by the way, all this information is online if you want to have a look and see proceedings there. As I say, refer to your television screens as well, television news, and hopefully you'll see a glimpse of what's happening. Well, we can expect a lot of people in London, as you'd expect. There will be a lot of people trying to take photographs and have a good look and probably be a part of it, have a memory to take away with them. Some street parties as well, a very British thing at some places, although not so many as in years gone by. I remember the last 20 years we haven't really had that many, but we knew how popular the Queen was. Perhaps Charles not so popular, but then again, there will be people turning out to be part of the occasion and to see all the procession and pageantry, which is the best in the world, and it will encompass the greatest amount of military veterans and servicemen ever. So, and all the horses and the 2 state coaches, one's brand new actually, and the other one's been refurbished. So expect to see the state coaches, horse-drawn coaches there. I'm sure you'd all like to see that. We have been asked to swear allegiance to the King, although it's optional. In these days, of course, people don't normally look to kings in a lot of countries, but certainly in this country we do have to treat them with reverence. As you know, we did the late Queen, and we don't look to the problems of perhaps some of the other minor royals, and I think Charles wants to somehow scale down on some of the members of the royal family. He wants a smaller monarchy, so we'll see what happens. But keeping it all positive for the coronation, we, like I say, been asked to swear allegiance, but we don't have to. As I say, the biggest military procession in history. There's not been many peers or MPs. They're not really welcome. It's reflecting the diversity of the country, and certainly the Commonwealth represented, people from charities and various other backgrounds, perhaps less well known, will be welcome, and they have been invited. Well, as you say, the Commonwealth and various voluntary organisations, not-for-profit and charity. It's a Christian service, but will encompass and perhaps reflect on the other faiths in this country as well today. Perhaps a few more than there was in the 1950s. Although, of course, we do know the 1950s was a time when there was a lot of migration into the country after the war. But certainly, it's a Christian service, and that's what it's all about. And trusting in Christ, looking to Christ for the future of the monarchy, the country, and of course for King Charles. Well, it's going to last about 2 hours, a bit shorter than the original, well, certainly the Queen's coronation in 1953, which none of us really remember. There's only a few people alive that would remember that, although I think they have shown it on very rare occasions on some of the digital BBC channels over the years. But certainly it's long, drawn-out service in black and white, so it's all changed. So, but we do know one thing. Charles won't be a monarch as long as the Queen. Such a record that was as well. Well, as I say, 2 hours. And sadly, we've got a very British problem that might affect the proceedings, and that is the weather. They're giving showers tomorrow. Of course, any of you watching this after the event might wonder what's all about. You might be quite interested in some of the facts, but if you want to find more out, do look online. As I say, it's the 6th of May, the coronation. Like I said, we've got to watch out for the weather. There'll be a lot of people out. It won't stop people standing around, going out, and certainly standing around for hours. Like I say, they're there already. It's been there since about Monday or Tuesday. Some of them camping on the Mall. I don't think you can hang around Whitehall, quite close to the offices of government and Palace of Westminster. But tomorrow morning, we'll have to see what's happening there. But certainly, momentous occasion. By the way, we had had some subtle changes in the last year or so. I mean, the stamps now, Charles had his photograph taken for the new stamps, but also Queen Camilla. Well, she was known as Queen Consort, as was announced by the Queen. I think it was probably about 12, 18 months ago. But now that Charles decided she should be called Queen. So that's another change. We know he's very interested in the environment and social issues and climate change. He's very interested in stopping that, all the damage that's been over the years. Perhaps we sometimes overlook. But we're all guilty of that. Certainly fossil fuels and everything else. Well, I could read out a load of facts. I may well do a short session in London if I can, if there's not too many people around. But certainly do have a look at your television screen. Do look at the facts about the amount of forces, the amount of military, and all that. All the facts and figures are there. You've got several websites. Raw.gov.uk, I think it is one of them. BBC.co.uk, all the news on there. That'll have all the definitive information. Have a quick look. I'm going to London later on today, so I must get on. But anyway, we would normally raise a toast to the Queen, but to the King, I say. Certainly we would raise a toast to the Queen several times, but I've only got a cup of tea here, a mug of tea. About to go to London in the next few hours, so I'll say thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for watching. And I do hope you enjoy the coronation. Thank you very much now. God bless. Bye-bye now.